Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the book, How to Become a People Magnet by Marc Reklau.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
I love that book.
it's packed with strategies for building stronger relationships. And
Right.
honestly, some of the insights are surprisingly simple, yet
Yeah.
effective.
What's fascinating is how Reklau peels back the layers of human interaction.
Yeah.
He starts by acknowledging that, at a fundamental level, people are primarily interested in themselves.
It's almost a bit counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
You'd think a book about becoming a people magnet would focus on how we should act.
Right.
But he's saying the key is understanding other people.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's not that people are inherently selfish, but we all have this deep-seated desire to feel important and valued. By understanding this, we can shift our focus from me to you in our interactions, making the other person feel like the most interesting person in the room.
So it's about appealing to that subconscious question we all have. What's in it for me?
Precisely. Think about it when someone remembers your name, truly listens to what you have to say, or offers a genuine compliment. It makes you feel seen and appreciated. Reklau argues that these seemingly small actions can make a huge difference because they tap into that fundamental human need for recognition.
So we're not talking about flattery or manipulation here. It's about genuine appreciation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sincerity is key.
Right.
People can spot a phony a mile away, but when you genuinely appreciate someone's qualities, talents, or accomplishments, it creates a connection that feels authentic and meaningful.
This reminds me of something I heard on the Affirmify Journey YouTube channel. They talk a lot about the importance of self-love, but I think it ties into this idea as well. When you genuinely appreciate yourself, you're more likely to appreciate others, right?
That's a great connection. It all feeds into creating positive, healthy relationships. And speaking of connections, Reklau also dives into the power of finding common ground. He suggests that we can build a rapport by discovering and discussing shared interests. In fact, he even encourages readers to use social media to research people's interests before meetings.
That's such a practical tip.
Yeah.
It shows you've taken the time to learn about the other person, which again, makes them feel valued.
Yeah.
But what happens when you don't see eye to eye? Does the book address handling disagreements?
It absolutely does. And this is where it gets really intriguing. Reklau actually advocates for agreeing with people, even when you might think they're wrong.
Wait, really? So even if someone is saying something completely outlandish, we should just nod along?
Not exactly.
Okay.
It's about choosing your battles wisely. He argues that constantly trying to prove you're right can lead to unnecessary conflict and damage relationships. Sometimes preserving harmony and finding common ground is more valuable than winning an argument.
So it's not about being a pushover, but more about understanding that sometimes letting things go can actually be more influential in the long run.
Right. It's about recognizing that being right doesn't always equate to being effective. And Reklau takes this a step further. He encourages readers to even admit their own mistakes openly and take responsibility for their actions.
That sounds tough for a lot of people. Isn't there a fear of looking weak or incompetent?
That's where Reklau emphasizes the importance of humility. He defines it as having a clear understanding of your strengths and weaknesses, being open to learning, and treating everyone with respect regardless of their status. He argues that humility actually makes you more likable and approachable because it disarms people and fosters trust.
I can see that. Think about it. Who would you rather spend time with? Someone who constantly boasts about themselves? Or someone who's genuine, down-to-earth, and willing to admit they don't have all the answers?
Exactly.
Right.
And Reklau even shares some practical tips for cultivating humility, drawing on the work of Paul Wong, who outlines 20 humble practices, such as acknowledging your wrongdoing, forgiving others, and seeking opportunities to serve. These aren't about putting yourself down, but recognizing that we're all human, we all make mistakes, and we all have something to learn.
It sounds like this idea of humility plays a major role in becoming a people magnet. It's not about being perfect. It's about being genuine and relatable.
And that authenticity shines through in another one of Reklau's key points, the power of a genuine smile.
You know, it's funny. Sometimes the simplest things are the most powerful. I can't tell you how many times I've felt instantly disarmed by someone's warm smile. It just puts you at ease.
Precisely. Reklau highlights how a genuine smile conveys warmth, openness, and approachability. It instantly creates a positive first impression and sets the tone for a more positive interaction.
And he even suggests the act of listening is key to making people feel heard and understood.
Absolutely.
He talks about maintaining eye contact, asking questions, and avoiding interruptions. Those sound simple, but they can be so hard to actually do consistently, especially if you're someone who likes to jump into conversations.
It takes practice, but the payoff is huge.
Yeah.
Think about it. When someone really listens to you without interrupting or trying to steer the conversation, it makes you feel valued and respected. You're more likely to open up and share your thoughts and feelings.
It's like you're saying, I see you, I hear you, and what you have to say matters to me.
Exactly. And that level of attention and validation can be incredibly powerful in building strong connections.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. The book also touches on the idea of praise and how it can be incredibly motivating, right?
It is. He shares some really compelling real-life examples of how sincere praise can be absolutely life-changing. It can boost morale, improve performance, and strengthen relationships. Again, it ties back to that fundamental human need for recognition and appreciation. We all thrive on positive feedback.
But doesn't constant praise become insincere after a while? How do you strike that balance?
Reklau emphasizes that praise must be genuine, specific, and focused on the behavior or accomplishment itself, not just empty flattery. He also cautions against going overboard. It's about recognizing and acknowledging someone's efforts and achievements in a way that feels authentic and heartfelt.
It's like the Goldilocks principle of praise, not too much, not too little, but just right.
Exactly. And speaking of finding the right balance, the book also delves into how to handle criticism effectively. Reklau suggests avoiding it altogether if possible, but if you absolutely must provide feedback, he offers a helpful framework called the feedback sandwich.
I've heard of that. Tell me more about how it works.
It's all about structuring your feedback in a way that's more palatable and less likely to demoralize the other person. You start by offering genuine praise, then provide specific feedback on areas for improvement, and finish with encouragement.
So it's like cushioning the blow of criticism with positive reinforcement.
Exactly. And Reklau even suggests replacing the word but with and when giving feedback. For instance, instead of saying, "You did a good job on this project, but you missed the deadline," you could say, "You did a good job on this project, and I know you can improve your time management skills going forward."
That's a subtle shift,
Huh.
but I can see how it would make a difference in how the feedback is received. It feels less like an attack and more like a collaborative effort for improvement.
Precisely. It's about framing the feedback in a way that's constructive and encourages growth, rather than simply pointing out flaws.
So if we had to distill some of the key takeaways from how to become a people magnet so far, what would they be?
It all starts with shifting your focus from yourself to the other person. Make them feel important, appreciated, and heard. Secondly, foster genuine connections by finding common ground, being agreeable, and avoiding unnecessary arguments.
And it's not about being fake or manipulative. It's about genuine appreciation and understanding.
Exactly. And the third takeaway would be leading by example. Embody the qualities you wish to see in others. Be the kind of person who inspires trust, respect, and admiration. Remember, actions speak louder than words.
It sounds like How to Become a People Magnet is full of actionable advice for anyone who wants to improve their relationships, both personally and professionally.
Absolutely. And there's so much more to unpack. For instance, he delves into the importance of body language, handling difficult people, and even how to turn complaints into opportunities.
Well, it sounds like we have a lot more ground to cover.
Welcome back. I'm eager to delve into some more of these intriguing strategies from Reklau.
Me too. Before the break, we were talking about how actions speak louder than words. I'm curious how that applies to things like punctuality and even body language. Does Reklau touch on those aspects?
He does. Reklau emphasizes that being on time shows respect for others' time, which is a key ingredient in building trust. It's a seemingly small thing, but it speaks volumes about your reliability and consideration.
It's like that saying, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're forgotten. Ouch. That's harsh, but it makes a point.
Right. It highlights how even minor lapses in punctuality can subtly erode trust. And speaking of subtle cues, Reklau also delves into the power of body language. Specifically, mirroring. It's about subtly matching the other person's body language to create a sense of rapport and connection.
Oh, that's fascinating. It's almost like speaking their subconscious language.
Exactly. It underscores how much of communication is nonverbal. By being attuned to those cues and responding in a way that feels harmonious, you can strengthen that unspoken connection.
Okay, let's get real for a second. Not every interaction is going to be sunshine and roses. How does Reklau suggest handling difficult people, or those who are constantly complaining?
That's where empathy comes in. Reklau believes that even when people are being challenging, we should try to understand their perspective. He even suggests sympathizing with people who are being difficult.
Yeah. It's easy to get defensive or write someone off as a lost cause, but that doesn't really solve anything, does it?
Right. Instead, Reklau argues that acknowledging their feelings and showing that you understand where they're coming from can be incredibly disarming. It might not change their behavior, but it can de-escalate the situation and open a space for more productive communication.
So it's about separating the person from the problem.
Exactly. And speaking of problems, he dedicates a whole section to turning complaints into opportunities.
So instead of getting annoyed by complaints, we should see them as valuable feedback.
Precisely. Complaints can highlight areas where you can improve your product, service, or even your own communication style. They provide insights into your customers' needs and expectations.
That's a great point. Instead of getting defensive, we can use complaints as a springboard for positive change.
And he emphasizes that it's not enough to just listen to complaints. You need to act on them, address the issue, apologize if necessary, and offer a solution. This shows that you're taking the feedback seriously and are committed to providing a better experience.
Reklau also cautions against making assumptions and jumping to conclusions. I feel like that's something we're all guilty of at times.
It's so easy to fill in the blanks with our own interpretations, but that often leads to misunderstandings and conflict. Instead, Reklau encourages us to ask clarifying questions and practice open communication.
Don't assume. Ask. It sounds so simple, but it's something we often forget to do.
And along those same lines, he highlights the importance of not taking things personally. It's a big one.
Yeah, I think that's a challenge for a lot of us. It's easy to feel attacked when someone criticizes us or disagrees with our ideas.
Reklau's point is that when we take things personally, we give other people power over our emotions. We become reactive instead of responsive.
So how do you develop that thicker skin and not let every little thing get to you?
It's about recognizing that other people's behavior is often a reflection of their own internal state, not a direct attack on you. It's not always easy, but with practice, you can learn to detach yourself from the emotional charge and respond in a more calm and collected manner.
He also talks about the importance of surrounding yourself with positive people. It makes sense we're all influenced by the company we keep.
This is such a crucial point. He argues that being around negative, critical people can drain your energy and make it difficult to maintain a positive outlook. If someone consistently brings you down or makes you feel bad about yourself, it might be time to reevaluate that relationship.
That's not to say you should cut off anyone who ever disagrees with you or has a bad day.
Of course not. Every relationship has its ups and downs. But if someone is consistently negative or disrespectful, it's okay to create some distance.
It's about prioritizing your own well-being and surrounding yourself with people who lift you up and support your growth.
Precisely. And speaking of growth, Reklau has some interesting things to say about perfectionism. He argues that it can actually sabotage your relationships.
That's counterintuitive. Don't we want to strive to be the best versions of ourselves?
We do, but there's a difference between striving for excellence and being trapped by the need to be perfect. When you set unrealistically high standards for yourself and others, you're bound to be disappointed. It creates unnecessary pressure and can make it difficult to relax and enjoy the moment.
So it's about being mindful of those expectations and allowing yourself and others some grace.
Exactly. It's about shifting your focus from being perfect to being your best. And it's about accepting that mistakes are inevitable and that they're actually opportunities for growth.
I love that perspective. It takes the pressure off and allows for more self-compassion.
And it also creates a more supportive and accepting environment for others to thrive.
Okay, last question before we wrap up this section. Reklau talks about something he calls false self-esteem. What does he mean by that?
This is a really insightful point. He distinguishes between genuine self-confidence, which stems from a deep sense of self-worth, and the kind of arrogance that often masks insecurity. People with true self-esteem don't need to constantly brag or put others down. They're secure in who they are and what they have to offer.
So how can you tell if someone has that false self-esteem?
They tend to be overly focused on external validation, status, and appearances. They might be quick to judge others and struggle to accept criticism. Their confidence is fragile and easily shaken.
It's like a house of cards. It looks impressive from the outside, but it can topple over with the slightest breeze.
Exactly. And if we connect this back to the book's overall message, it reinforces the importance of authenticity and humility. True people magnets aren't concerned with putting on a show or masking their vulnerabilities. They connect with others on a genuine level, flaws and all.
It sounds like how to become a people magnet goes beyond just superficial tips and tricks. It really delves into the psychology of human connection.
Absolutely. And there's still so much more to explore.
Well, I'm eager to hear more. Welcome back. We've covered a lot of ground in our deep dive into Marc Reklau's How to Become a People Magnet. I'm curious to hear what stood out to you as we wrap up our discussion.
One thing that really struck me is Reklau's emphasis on taking action. It's not enough to just read about these principles. We have to actually implement them in our daily lives. He even acknowledges that some of the ideas might seem simple or obvious, but the real magic happens when we put them into practice consistently.
It's like that saying, knowledge is power only if you use it.
Right.
You can read every self-help book under the sun, but if you don't actually apply what you learn, it's just collecting dust in your brain.
He compares it to compound interest. Small changes over time can lead to huge results. It's like building a muscle. The more you practice these skills, the stronger and more natural they become.
And he encourages readers to start small,
Yeah,
right? You don't have to overhaul your entire personality overnight.
that's right. Pick a few techniques that resonate with you and start incorporating them into your interactions. Maybe focus on active listening for a week, then work on being more mindful of your body language. It's about making sustainable changes that you can build on over time.
He also acknowledges that there will be times when you encounter difficult people or situations where these strategies don't seem to work. That's just reality, right?
That's inevitable. But even in those moments, Reklau encourages us to maintain a positive mindset and to remember our ultimate goal, building stronger, more fulfilling relationships.
So if you find yourself getting frustrated or discouraged,
Remember that it's a journey, not a destination. There will be setbacks and challenges along the way, but the rewards of becoming a people magnet are well worth the effort.
it's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that you don't have to be perfect to be successful.
That's a great reminder. It's easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others and feeling like we're not good enough.
Reklau stresses the importance of authenticity and being true to yourself. Don't try to be someone you're not. Just focus on being the best version of yourself.
It's about embracing your own unique strengths and quirks. Those are the things that make you memorable and magnetic.
I completely agree. It sounds like How to Become a People Magnet is a valuable resource for anyone who wants to improve their relationships, both personally and professionally.
I think so too. It's full of practical advice and insightful observations about human nature. And most importantly, it offers a hopeful message that we all have the power to become more magnetic and to create a more positive and fulfilling life.
And as Reklau reminds us, it all starts with taking that first step. So choose one principle from this book that resonates with you and commit to putting it into practice today.
You might be surprised by the ripple effect it creates in your life. It could be as simple as making a conscious effort to smile more or really listen to someone without interrupting.
Small changes can make a big difference. And speaking of resources, for those who are looking to expand their knowledge and skills even further, I highly recommend checking out lingopediamagazine.com.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that site. They offer a wide range of courses and ebooks on topics like language learning, personal development, and motivation. It's a fantastic resource for continued learning and growth.
It's a great way to supplement the insights we've discussed today and keep that momentum going.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into how to become a people magnet. We hope you found this exploration insightful and inspiring.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to our channel, sharing it with your friends, and giving us a like. We appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more insightful deep dives in the future.
Until next time, keep those connections strong and keep learning.